I wrote more than 100 VSLs, and in 2025, I generated my clients anywhere from $20 to $50 to even $125,000 a month. I've used the same VSL structure for all of them, and it's been proven to work in any niche you have tried, meaning B2C, B2B, young, old, rich, poor, the health niche, business, even looks maxing. We have done it all. So here it is. Here's a VSL framework that scales anyone in any niche to 100K a month plus. If you use a poor headline, it does not matter how hard you labor over your copy because your copy will not be read. That is a quote by John Caples. He's the marketer behind the success of the biggest companies such as the Wall Street Journal and the recruitment for the US Navy. And it perfectly outlines why the intro of a VSL is the most common reason VSLs fail. People don't even get to listen to it because you don't know your audience. We always use the same structure to hook our viewers. Hook, tease, and setup. We start with the hook saying, did you ever wonder how businesses with just a couple of thousand followers close so many clients they need to build a wait list once the rest barely gets any leads? That is a question hook with the goal of pitching to them the thing that they actually want. So we always start our intros either desire-based or struggle-based. This depends on what kind of audience you attract. Your YouTube videos, your ads, your Instagram reels, whatever it is that you use to get people into the VSL, what videos perform best? Usually your audience can be very results-based or struggle-based. If it's results-based, your best performing videos on YouTube, Instagram, or your ads will always tease people with a result. If that is the case, your VSL should do the same. If you always tease with a struggle that you want to solve for them, for example, in the health niche, and you are trying to help them get rid of brain fog, you need to tease the struggle that you tease inside your videos as well, because you will automatically target your perfect audience because you use the same mechanism to target them before as you do now. So here we lead with a result of literally closing so many clients you need to build a wait list, and then we get into the desire, struggle plus setup. So it says, that's why in this video I'm going to give you the exact system that 2 years later took me and my former partner client name from ground zero to 125K a month in 3 months. All with one single funnel we built on social media that made us the fastest growing school community on earth. So what we're doing here is that we are teasing the desire or the struggle, in this case the desire of making 125K a month with one single funnel and becoming the fastest growing school community on planet earth. And then we go even further and we explain it turned our views into buyers without a single sales call. That is one more desire, right? 90% profit is one more desire. $0 in ad spend is another desire. 0 sales reps is another desire, just one funnel. It sounds insane, but this is actually a true story. So what we're doing here is we're basically just elaborating the desire by naming more of the desires that they want. Our audience loves to have high profits. They hate to have a lot of sales reps. They hate to have a huge team, and they hate to have overcomplicated funnels or multiple funnels. They just want to have a very simple life. And we're saying, hey, all you got to do, 90% profit, $0 in ad spend, one funnel. That sounds pretty fucking cool. And then in addition to that, we do the setup, which is that we set up what we're going to teach people here. Here we put it into the desire, which basically says that's why in this video I am going to give you the exact system that 2 years later scaled us. So it's basically just a hook, a desire, a struggle, and then a setup. But if you ever wondered how to stand out from your overcrowded market, the best way to do so is to understand your customer better than their own mother does. And that is what we do in the epiphany. The purpose of an epiphany is always the same: to make them feel understood, to make them think, wow, I'm suffering from that too. I have failed with those solutions too. This is me. How did they fix it so I can fix it too? And then you share your battalion of results into their face to excite them and follow with the method and product when they are most excited. So the epiphany is always the same. We start with the most common objections. I used to think that getting clients came down to just inputs, so I tried everything. Then we get into the things they tried and failed with: cold outreach, ads, posting more, being authentic, providing value, and niching down. And then we get into the external and internal struggles. These are the most important ones. This is extremely important because here you're going to take the exact struggles that they suffer from on a day-to-day basis that they can externally see, right? Not that they internally feel, but actually externally see. And you can project it onto them and say, hey, you know what? We have the exact same struggle, but we solve that problem. That builds the most relatability. Just to see some 18-year-old kid from Miami do the exact opposite and earn in a month what I earned in a year. Everyone knows it. You're a coach, you're a consultant, you're trying to get into business, you're trying to get clients. When you see some fucking 20-year-old kid in Miami make 10, 20, 30, 40x your money, who's basically less qualified than you. Every single piece of advice online was completely conflicting, and I was being an absolute victim of of online coaches, another external struggle. The next part is the epiphany moment. Until I partnered up with client name to scale his coaching business. At that time, I had zero idea on how to get clients, although I knew how to sporadically get a ton of followers, and we somehow cracked the code. So the epiphany moment is literally just the discovery moment. Epiphany is another word for discovery, which is like we discovered this new thing, and that is what solved all of our problems, despite trying everything, despite having all these external struggles, despite having these objections. And that just works incredibly well in order to eliminate as many objections as possible, as early on as possible, so that people are most excited for your method. Then we get into the action taken. Instead of doing what coaches told me to do to become an industry leader, I did what the industry leaders did themselves. So what you do here is basically just either outline the new action that you took that took you to the result, which is going to be a very high level description of your method, or the new belief that we adapted. For example, this is when I realized that the guys who really dominated the game don't have huge sales teams or unique funnels. They were so good at branding, marketing, and psychology that 90% of the sale was already done before the sales calls. So that is the new belief that we are trying to make people adapt. We applied that exact system to client name, and the result was amazing. And then we get into the results from that action, which is credibility part. There's one quote I give my clients all the time, and it goes, the highest ROI activity in 2026 is getting results. There's been so much fraud in every part of the earth, especially now, whether it's politics, news, social media, online business, the files that were released. But the credibility part of a VSL is most essential to gain your viewers' trust in our current trust recession. I checked my client's calendar a few weeks later to see that he changed the call duration from 60 minutes to 30 and later on 15 minutes. We described the exact situation of what happened that led us to 125K a month in a lot of detail in the first case study. This is usually our main case study. We always have one main case study and a bunch of other small case studies because we want to use that one as the leading one, either yourself or your biggest client, and then you just follow up with more and more and more just to make sure that people don't think, he was an outlier, he was a special case. No, we have even more people, and that is what we do here. It could have been his niche or him just having a lot of followers, so I gave that exact system to my other clients. This is where you basically take the objection that is internal. Internal objections are nothing but internal limiting beliefs, meaning that people think I am different, and that is why this method won't work for me. So we take these most common objections that are internal and we name them up front to pre-handle them whilst we give the credibility so that we don't need to do it on an extra part. That's how we keep the VSL as tight as possible, by saying it could have been his niche, which is a huge objection that I always have. No, my niche is different. Or him just having a lot of followers. So I gave that exact system to my other clients. And now we show examples in other niches with only a couple thousand followers or subscribers, like client 1, a B2B health coach scaling to 20K a month at 90% profit, or client 2 scaling to 40K a month in 60 days, who literally just has a couple thousand followers. And then we have two cases which basically prove that although you are different, these people are just like you and they succeeded as well. The more relatability you can build with these case studies, the better. Let's say you're a health coach and you know that a lot of people who sign up to work with you are between the ages of 40 to 55 who pay you the most. It is important that you use a case study that is actually 40 to 55 and not another case study that is fucking 20-year-old guy, because not a lot of people will relate to these people. So if they have the exact same struggles or in the exact same situation as most of your potential clients and they have the exact same demographics, that's going to do way more than just using random case studies that are impressive, even if the case studies aren't as impressive as the other ones that you may have, because that's ego. You're not trying to flex on them. You're just trying to prove to them, hey, even though this guy is coming from the exact same place where you are, he succeeded as well. So now that people trust you, the next objectives are to make them trust your method and make them trust your product. So selling the method comes down to a structure that I learned from my mentor, and I paid him a ton of money for that, and it's called emotional brick and logic brick. The emotional brick is a brick where you excite somebody for the thing that is upcoming. What we mean by that is we build emotional excitement. This is only needed if you feel like otherwise they wouldn't understand or believe it. Most of the time the credibility section and epiphany did the work for you. But if you want to and you feel like you need to add some extra proof or extra excitement to make people buy your product, we needed to in this case, then you can use one of these three emotional bricks, either a visualization, a metaphor, or a story that you explain to people. Basically a story that introduces the method that you are trying to give them. In this case, we gave them a visualization, which I'm going to show you later, and then we get into the logic brick, which is features, benefits, results. You first name all the features of your method, right? So first you do this, then you do this, then you do this, then you do this. Then you get into the benefits of those features. That is going to enable you to do X, to get Y, to achieve achieve Z. And then you name the results achieved, little ones even, right? Little ones, like, hey, this is why XYZ person was able to achieve XYZ and XYZ person was able to achieve XYZ. Not a lot, just to follow up again and show them, this is the method that has enabled us to get these people results. Even if you just want to lead back to the results that you gave them in the credibility section. And then you repeat that till all features of your method are done. This method is very, very, very effective. Trust me. So it starts with the emotional break. This is, I mean, insane. You don't need to include an emotional break. Most of the time you won't. We did this because it's so fucking hard to prove to somebody that you are able to eliminate their sales calls completely. They look at you like you're fucking crazy. They look at you like you're a fucking guru. So you need to prove it to them. And we did here so incredibly fucking well. I love my video editor. Just look at it, bro. Or I skip the call entirely and just send a Loom recording breaking down my offer. That is exactly how Mason became a client. You see, trust can be built via sales or via marketing. Every person has a different buying line. Some people have been disappointed before and are therefore more skeptical, so they would need 70 to 90% trust, and others feel very confident in their decisions and will need only 40 or 50% trust to pay you because they've made great experiences with offers like yours. Whether you build this trust via a sales call or via marketing is up to you. But marketing is scalable. I can show the same type of copy or video or Instagram story to millions of people at a time, whilst a sales call will need to take me 60 minutes out of my day per person. That's why the best way is to fill up this trust barometer with as much trust as possible before the call with proper marketing systems. So once they book the call, it's light work because 90% of the work has been done by the marketing and the call just needs to fill the remaining 10%. If that doesn't make somebody trust our method, what does? And the next part is the logic break. We built this trust via an ecosystem on Instagram and YouTube that your viewers cannot escape. Whatever platform they're on, whatever content they watch, we always follow three distinct goals: making them trust you, making them trust your product, and making them trust themselves. These three are the features of our method, and then we get into the benefits. That eliminates any objections before the call takes place, and that'll enable you to charge higher prices, close more people, close them more easily, and do all of that whilst putting in less hours, which are the benefits. And we continue with the benefits, saying the longer you pursue this process, the more you know about your viewers to turn them into ready-to-buy clients without a single sales call. Ideally, you want to get to a point where all you do is create content, collect payments, and get your clients results. What we call this as a benefit is basically painting the promised land, which is like, hey, this is going to be a situation that you're going to be in at the end after maybe half a year or 2 years. That is what we did with client name, and client name all at Audiencia. Guess what? That is our results section. You can do this alone or you can do it with me. I've scaled multiple 5 to 7 figure businesses, results, and we have members in B2B, B2C, etc., all using the exact same system and seeing results within the first 8 weeks, not months, weeks. So results. Now, selling the product is the moment when people fuck up the most. They sound super salesy, super forced, and also kind of desperate. And I want to teach you how to avoid that, because people hate being sold to, but they love to go shopping. So selling the product is basically the same as selling the method. You name the feature, you name the benefit, you loop it, and then you name the results, meaning naming a feature of your product, naming the benefit of that feature, and then repeating this loop till all features are explained, and then sharing client results quickly again. We do not share results after every feature because pitching a product is very direct selling. Therefore, we get through it with as little chit chat as possible to not make them feel like we are trying too hard, because that just makes you sound super fucking desperate. Spend the time making them understand what you have to offer instead of trying to just hype it up all the time. But just be very results based by always naming the benefits of that feature. So inside Audiencia, you get a distill library, that is a feature, and we get into the benefit, top 10% of every framework VSL template and funnel that actually drove results. Benefit, top 10% that drove results. I personally work with every single client one-on-one. I personally spot the lowest hanging fruit of my clients. I know where they are, I know where they want to get, and I know how to get them there. So that is again the benefit. And we have a feature, which is one-on-one. Once you fill out the application below, you will either be able to schedule a meeting with me, or if all spots are full, you will need to sign up to a wait list. We just built a little bit scarcity here, but you don't need to. Results like these are only possible by me getting in the trenches with my clients myself, so once I have too many, I close access. Now on top of all of this, you get Ava, which is another feature built with one of the best copywriters in the game, trained on every VSL funnel, post, and video I've used to scale 7-figure info businesses. Guess what? That's another benefit. Ava even wrote this video, which is the coolest benefit that I've ever dropped in any VSL. It's essentially my brain turned into an AI that writes your copy for you. Another feature, we host trips, benefit, real experiences, real memories, ambitious people who know where they're going and want to enjoy the process. Another feature, my private talent book, benefit because info businesses run on talent. I don't micromanage. I teach them my strategies and the material, and then I get out of their way so they can do what they do best. And guess what? In 2025 alone, this system has generated our clients over 900K in profit through selling, coaching, and consulting. That is, again, results. So the pitch has one call to action. What do we do here? We first do a product stack. So the product stack is literally just stacking the products, the features of a product, but not the value. Do not come at me here and be like, this is my entire library of the top funnels and VSLs, and it's worth $10,000. One-on-one access to me worth $7,000, and my entire AI worth $15,000, and I'm giving it to you for only $20 a month. It's like, nobody is going to believe you. Nobody is going to sit there and be like, oh my God. No, they're going to think you're so fucking weird. Why are you doing that? Just give us the thing. Your library is not worth 15K, bro. Like your AI is not worth 15K, bro. It's just been used so much in any niche that B2C or B2B, people know exactly what you're doing, and the value stack just seems super salesy and is outdated, no matter the niche. And then we have a suggestive call to action. Would you at least consider it? And the next steps would be, etc., etc. You get into the scarcity part. As I said before, if spots are full because I physically can't take more clients, you will need to wait until the spots are open again. But if you're lucky and we still have open spots, you will be led to a page to schedule a meeting with me. Please be aware that before I did this, I explained that I'm helping people one-on-one. So I basically have a reason to give that scarcity. But if you don't have a reason to give scarcity, you actually need to give them a reason why. You cannot just tell people, I have limited spots. I'm going to close spots. I'm going to close spots tomorrow. You actually need to give them a reason. In my case, it's the fact that I work with anyone one-on-one. I don't have any weekly group calls. I don't have any weekly calls or anything. I only work with people one-on-one, and I work with all of my clients one-on-one. And that is the only reason why I can't say stuff like this. If you're going to sell a course hooked up with a software, there's no reason for you to assume that you only have 100 spots open. You will need to give them a reason as to why. For example, we have coaches working with anyone one-on-one, and it's just going to be too much. We're only opening spots 4 times every single year because I don't want to take on clients every single week and serve them every single week. I just want to work very, very, very hard 4 times in a year. You need to give them a reason, or else they will not believe you and they're going to think that you're salesy as hell. The next part is minimize risk, maximize payoff. This is probably one of the most powerful tools that I've ever learned in marketing ever before. So I've learned this on my door-to-door job because I was broke and I was 2 weeks away from becoming homeless, and I needed to make some money to actually pay rent. The only job that was available was a door-to-door job, and this is what my coach told me. The reason why people don't take action on your offer is sometimes not even the offer itself, but it's the difference between the risk and the payoff. Let's say you want to make somebody take an action, not to buy your product, but only to book a call. The risk of hopping on that call is he is going to waste my time, he's going to be super salesy, and he may even force me into buying something that I don't want, and emotionally excite me into buying, and then I'm going to regret the purchase. The payoff is I might get his course. Risk is very high, payoff is very low, and even if they don't decide to work with you, they've basically wasted their entire time. So what we need to do here is to turn around the entire equation and make it look like the risk is just, hey, I'm gonna get something for my time no matter what happens, and the payoff is I might join this program and actually scale to 50K, 100K a month plus, etc., and have the life that I want. This is what we want to achieve. So how do we achieve that? What we say here is I don't have any sales trips because I said my calls don't take long. So it'll just be you and me. On that call, you'll have some questions for me and I'll have some questions for you, and then I'll lay out the entire roadmap for you. So what are we doing here? We're explaining exactly what is happening on the call. By giving them a payoff, hey, no matter what happens, I am going to lay out the entire roadmap for you. So they know if I hop on the call, I will get a payoff guaranteed. And that is something you gotta always pitch to people. You will get a payoff guaranteed. Whether you do it with me, whether you do it without me, you will have the exact blueprint on how to get from where you are right now to where you want to get. And that automatically minimizes the risks as well, because you're telling them this payoff is completely guaranteed no matter how you decide on this call. Looking back, I would have literally added a line such as, so whether you decide to join Audiencia or not, at the end of this call, you will have an entire roadmap to go from where you are to where you want to be, whether you execute on that roadmap with me or without me. And that guarantees the payoff and minimizes the risk. When we get into the second call to action, the application form is down below. See you on the call. If you want access to this VSL script, there's a link in the description for you to DM me PDF on Instagram, and I'll send you the VSL script, including all the notes on what to do where. Abraham Lincoln once said, "Give me 6 hours to chop down a tree, and I will spend the first 4 sharpening the axe." And with VSLs, it's the same. It's 80% preparation and only 20% script. So 80% of why my VSLs work, and they work in any niche, is because I know exactly what prevents my clients from buying in the niche that I'm selling to. Otherwise, my VSLs would speak to the wrong person and flop completely from niche to niche. Our 78K a month system to know more about our customers than my mother does is up here. Click on it if you want the system. Thank you for your time. And if you need me, I'm here.